Life is a process of accumulation, knowledge, experience, relationships, and habits. But as age advances, it also becomes a process of subtraction. Strength fades, opportunities narrow, and the consequences of a lifetime's choices become unavoidable. When people cross 80, their longevity is no longer about chance or genetics alone. It is shaped by decisions made decades before, and it is compromised by three major factors: a decline in physical movement, a loss of purpose, and social isolation. These three elements are responsible for cutting life short, and yet they are largely within a person's control. The first and most obvious reason for shorter lifespans past 80 is the drastic reduction in physical movement. The body is not designed for long periods of inactivity, yet this is precisely what happens in old age. Many people, once retired, settle into patterns of sitting, resting, and avoiding strenuous effort. They believe that taking it easy is what aging requires, but this assumption is lethal. Muscles weaken when they are not used. Joints stiffen. Balance deteriorates. The ability to walk, to climb stairs, even to stand for long periods, declines not just because of age itself, but because the body adapts to inactivity by shutting down functions it no longer needs. Physical weakness leads directly to increased frailty, which is the second deadly consequence of inactivity. Falls become more frequent, and the injuries they cause are no longer minor. A young man who falls can stand up, shake it off, and continue his day. An 80-year-old who falls might break a hip, and that single injury can start a downward spiral. Many never fully recover. They lose mobility, which leads to hospitalization. Hospitalization leads to muscle loss, which leads to dependence on others. And dependence, for an independent-minded person, can be a death sentence in itself. But the real danger of physical decline is not just the body, it is what happens to the mind. A person who moves less thinks less. Neurological studies confirm that exercise stimulates the brain, increasing blood flow, reducing inflammation, and strengthening cognitive function. Those who remain physically active retain sharper memory, better problem-solving skills, and stronger emotional resilience. Those who stop moving begin the slow slide into mental fog, confusion, and cognitive decline. When the body weakens, the mind follows. And when both fail, a person's lifespan shortens dramatically. The second major reason older people do not live long after 80 is the loss of purpose. A human being is not designed to simply exist. They are meant to contribute, to engage, to pursue something greater than comfort. Yet many people, upon reaching old age, abandon this entirely. They retire from work, detach from social obligations, and assume their job is now to simply rest. But the mind is a goal-oriented machine. When it has nothing to pursue, it deteriorates. A person without purpose quickly loses interest in life itself. The consequences of purposelessness extend far beyond boredom. Studies consistently show that older individuals who remain engaged in meaningful activities, whether it is mentoring, volunteering, creative pursuits, or even continuing work in some capacity, live longer, healthier lives. Their minds remain sharp because they are being used. Their emotions remain stable because they have something to wake up for. Contrast this with the person who spends their days sitting, reminiscing about the past and waiting for time to run out. The latter declines rapidly, not because of age, but because they have given up on engaging with life. The third and final reason for shorter lifespans after 80 is social isolation. Human beings are not designed for prolonged solitude. The elderly often face a painful paradox. They have outlived their friends, their spouses, and in some cases, even their children. The social circles they once had shrink, and if they do not actively seek new connections, they find themselves increasingly alone. The effects of this are devastating. Loneliness is not just an emotional burden, it is a physiological one. Isolation increases stress hormones, weakens the immune system, and accelerates cognitive decline. Those who are socially isolated experience higher rates of depression, anxiety, and even dementia. They eat less, they move less, and they sleep worse. A lonely person, no matter how physically healthy, will deteriorate far faster than someone who remains connected to a strong social network. The elderly who live the longest are not necessarily those with the best genes. They are those who maintain relationships even when it is difficult. They call their family members, they make an effort to attend social gatherings, they engage in conversations with younger generations. They recognize that social interaction is not optional, it is essential to survival. Those who allow isolation to take over soon lose their will to fight for another day. The dangerous combination of inactivity, purposelessness, and isolation is what makes the years after 80 so precarious. But these are not inevitable outcomes of aging, they are choices, whether conscious or unconscious. The person who remains physically active, mentally engaged, and socially connected can defy the statistics. They can extend not only their lifespan, but their quality of life. They can wake up each morning with energy, with motivation, and with a reason to keep going. Aging is not an automatic process of decline. It is a test of resilience, of adaptability, and of the willingness to continue participating in life. Many people fail this test, not because they have to, but because they stop fighting. The body withers when it is not used. The mind weakens when it is not challenged. The soul shrinks when it is disconnected from others. And in the end, those who surrender to these forces do not just grow old, they grow obsolete. Waiting for death is not merely a passive act, it is an invitation. The human body and mind are not designed to exist in a state of stagnation. The moment a person begins to believe that their best days are behind them, that their purpose has faded, that there is nothing left to strive for, the decline accelerates. It is not age itself that causes rapid deterioration, but rather the resignation to the idea that life is already over. A person who wakes up each day with nothing to do, nothing to look forward to, and nothing to fight for is actively signaling to their body and mind that they're no longer a reason to persist. The mind plays a far greater role in longevity than most people realize. The difference between those who thrive in old age and those who wither away is not purely biological, it is psychological. Those who embrace curiosity, who continue to learn, who engage in meaningful activities are far more likely to maintain their health and independence. Conversely, those who dwell on regrets, who focus only on what they have lost, who isolate themselves from the world, are more likely to deteriorate at an accelerated rate. The way a person perceives aging has a direct impact on how they experience it. One of the greatest dangers of waiting for death is that it strips a person of their will to move. The less one moves, the more difficult movement becomes. The body is designed for activity, and when movement ceases, muscle mass diminishes, joints stiffen, and circulation weakens. Many people assume that frailty is an inevitable part of aging, but much of it is self-inflicted. Those who remain physically active, who continue to challenge their bodies, who refuse to surrender to a sedentary lifestyle are far less likely to experience the rapid decline that is often associated with old age. Social isolation is another major factor in accelerated decline. The moment a person withdraws from relationships, from conversations, from engagement with the world, their mental and emotional health suffer. Loneliness is not just an unpleasant experience, it is a silent killer. Studies consistently show that those who maintain strong social connections live longer, healthier lives. It is not enough to simply exist in the presence of others. True engagement, meaningful discussions, and shared experiences are what sustain a person. Those who cut themselves off from the world under the belief that they are no longer needed or valued are making a decision that has serious consequences. Routine can be both a blessing and a curse. While structure provides stability, falling into a repetitive existence where nothing new ever happens is a slow form of decay. The brain thrives on novelty, on challenge, on stimulation. A person who stops learning, who stops exploring, who stops pushing themselves to experience new things is sending a message to their mind that it is no longer necessary to stay sharp. Cognitive decline does not simply happen, it is often the result of years of neglecting the very activities that keep the brain engaged and resilient. Purpose is the foundation of a long and fulfilling life. The moment a person believes they no longer have a purpose, their body and mind begin to shut down. Purpose is not something that disappears with age, it only disappears when a person allows it to. There is always something to contribute, always something to build, always someone to help. The elderly who remain sharp, engaged, and full of life are those who understand that their existence still matters. Those who convince themselves that they are only waiting for the inevitable are far more likely to experience that inevitability sooner than necessary. Neglecting one's health is one of the most common ways people unconsciously invite death. The choices made on a daily basis, from what is eaten to how much sleep is prioritized to the level of physical activity engaged in, all determine how quickly the body declines. Many people fall into the trap of assuming that because they are aging, they no longer need to take care of themselves as they once did. The reality is that maintaining health becomes even more critical in later years. Those who continue to nourish their bodies properly, who prioritize movement, who engage in activities that keep them strong and capable, are far less likely to experience the rapid physical deterioration that so many assume is inevitable. Fear of the future is another silent killer. Many people spend their later years consumed with worry about their health, about their finances, about what would happen to them as they continue to age. This state of constant anxiety takes a toll on both the body and mind. Stress weakens the immune system, disrupts sleep, accelerates inflammation, and diminishes overall well-being. Those who embrace life with a mindset of resilience, who refuse to allow fear to dictate their actions, who focus on what they can control rather than what they cannot, are far better equipped to extend both their years and their quality of life. The tendency to dwell on the past can also be a dangerous habit. Regret, resentment, and nostalgia for a time that no longer exists can consume a person to the point where they are no longer living in the present. Those who spend their days replaying old memories, lamenting lost opportunities, and comparing their current life to